The meeting with ASEAN leaders this time is your first mission to foreign country. What's the outcome or what's the implication of the meeting, especially you join ASEAN Summit?
Well, let me start by congratulating Thailand for excellent organization of the ASEAN Summit and related meetings. The reason to be here is also because we had a very important conference jointly with the Bank of Thailand on financial and monetary issues. So we combined those two for a very productive visit. On the ASEAN Summit, let me stress that leaders showed tremendous commitment to cooperation on very important topics. One, on sustainable development, making progress towards the sustainable development goals. Two, on cooperation on trade. And that, I believe, is hugely important at a time when growth is being slowed down by trade tensions. ASEAN is a bright spot in the global economy, region that is growing rapidly and using the prospects of growth for the benefit of the population and for underpinning sustainable and inclusive growth for the future.
But trade war seems to be an issue for ASEAN. ASEAN is in the middle between the US and China. What do you see implications of trade war in the region and for Thailand in particular?
We have already felt how trade tensions reflect on the world economy. In fact, IMF has calculated that US-China trade war translates into $700 billion less in global GDP by 2020. Therefore, trade peace is important for everybody, including for the ASEAN countries. It was very encouraging to hear both US and China right here in Bangkok to commit to reach an agreement that would allow this cloud of trade tensions to move away. I can see already how that has impacted Thailand. Manufacturing has gone down because regional and global value chains are impacted. Investments have slowed down, and that has led to growth in Thailand also slowing down. I'm very hopeful that a deal between the US and China would ultimately benefit everybody, but we have to admit that damage has been done and it has to be repaired.
What's your take to emphasize on trade truce? Because it's the word that you emphasize many times during IMF annual meetings. What do you reckon that trade war can be changed to trade truce?
It requires a good understanding that everybody loses in a trade war. And IMF has put out the evidence that this is indeed true. That evidence is helpful to integrate a need for a deal. So trade from idle engine of growth can turn again in what it has been for so many decades, a very potent driver of growth and improvements in people's lives.
Yeah, but during this age of globalization in which it seems that many superpowers perhaps are trying to moving away from multilateral to unilateral systems, What's the take from IMF?
Well, the take is actually we are not quite there yet in a unilateral world. Let me give you two examples. One is the very fact that during the ASEAN summit, on the invitation of Thailand, many countries from North America, from the Pacific, Russia, India, have gathered here to discuss cooperation on trade. And a second example is that during the annual meetings of the IMF, all 189 members have agreed to provide financial resources for the IMF to be strong in case there is need to serve as a buffer to the world economy. So we are able to make decisions that are good for the whole world. It just takes more perseverance now, and all we have to do is relentlessly present the evidence that everybody benefits when we work together.